When I was 16, I won a great victory. I felt in that moment I would live to be 100. Now I know I shall not see 30. None of us know our end, really, or what hand will guide us there. A king may move a man, a father may claim a son. That man can also move himself. Your soul is in your keeping alone. When you stand before God, you cannot say, "But I was told by others to do thus," or that virtue was not convenient at the time, which will not suffice. Remember that.
Lord, hear my prayer. I swear I will make these pagans pay for their cruelty. Let not mine enemies triumph over me.
Let the wrath of God fall upon these heathens who desecrate the holy places of our land. Let them suffer at our hands. Let us rejoice in their ruin and drive them back into the sea from whence they came. Christ is here.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag, rule their red, white, and blue. And when the band plays Hail to the Chief, they point the cannon at you. No, it ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no senator's son. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. No. Some folks are born silver spoon in hand. Lord, don't they help themselves, dog? But when the tax man comes to the door, Lord, the house looking like a rummage sale, yes. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no millionaire son, no, no. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one, no.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Glad that you can join us. We got a show for tonight, folks, and it's gonna be a barn burner. I can tell you that much. As always, I'm joined by my brother. Let's see, get that mic a little bit louder for you. As always, I'm joined by my brother and brother in arms, the good doctor, David Roach. And folks, we've done deep dives on y'all's behalf because there's some wicked stuff we've been looking into here lately. As you probably already know if you're on this channel, Ghislaine Maxwell has been moved to Bryan, Texas, the same town that has the Texas A&M, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this place where she's been moved, this facility, is what you call a minimal security transfer facility. And she's been given, and we've checked this, right? She's been given some sort of a pass to be able to leave.
Well, you can, I don't know why I got to echo here.
Probably got to put on those headphones, bro. Go, keep going. I got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, that should probably be better. Sorry about that, folks.
That's all right. So, this prison in Texas, she was moved from Florida to Bryan, Texas, as my brother just stated, the hometown of Texas A&M. Now, ordinarily, prisoner transfers to different units are not, it's not an uncommon thing in the Department of Corrections. However, in this case, it's particularly unique because the institution that she was transferred to does not allow sex offenders or people who have been convicted the magnitude of her crimes. She was serving a 20-year sentence for child sex trafficking. Yes, child sex trafficking to Jeffrey Epstein, which I'm not sure in the state she was convicted in Florida what level felony that is, but it's a very severe charge. And so she's moved to this minimal security, what amounts to a work camp. in Bryan, Texas. It has no walls. No, very few, if any, from my research, correction staff. And not only that, but it has interactive work programs where this woman will be able to virtually walk across the street, as Dee was just saying, in her little brown jumpsuit or whatever the hell color they got, and interact and take programs with female students to Texas A&M, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So you virtually have a convicted child predator being able to move freely.
Has she been convicted lawfully though? That's the whole time. That's this whole thing. Like, what was the true conviction? You know what I'm saying? I agree with you. She was the curator of these little girls, but now she's getting what would be the equivalent of a 2nd-degree felony for moving women across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. That's the crazy thing to us about this stuff, folks. Like, they've done all this mental gymnastics and these kangaroo courts and have rewritten history. My brother's right. That's what she did. She was a child predator.
I mean, that's what the charges that she was convicted on state. That's what the court transcripts state. Her conviction says this. And she just, in any other scenario, let's just say here in the good old Commonwealth of Virginia, I can use that as an example because it's something I'm somewhat of an authority on, having been in the system, working in the system. We had to build an entire institution just for sex crimes. Because if you put these people in general population in any other facility, the other inmates would kill them. This is standard. That's standard, I would imagine, in any penal facility across the country. So virtually what they have done is put the proverbial fox in the hen house. This woman isn't suspected of crimes. She's not, it's not some kind of hypothesis that she may have committed them. No, she was convicted. And now apparently, what all things point to is that there's going to be some kind of a sweetheart deal. It's very similar to what happened to her boyfriend, old Jeffrey Epstein, down there in Florida, where he got to go, when he did his little 18 months in jail or however many months it was, he got to go and come as he pleased, come in on the weekends, take care of his business. They opened up a whole side of the jail for him. The similarities at this point are so striking that they can't be overlooked. Am I correct in that assessment, Dee?
I believe so as well, and we talked about it earlier. I believe the only reason she was put in that prison is because here in the next couple of weeks or couple of months, everything's going to be wrapped up real nice in a bow. Now let's talk speculative. A hypothetical scenario that her being in the heart of Texas with all these people that are in a Republican state, a state that's redder than a candy apple. She's in this Republican state. All these true MAGA Republicans are awful upset that this injustice. Then all of a sudden, because she's got this ability to leave this facility, something happens to her. Then there's nothing to, people are going to be happy because they'll feel like justice has been done, even if it's vigilante justice. And then people on Capitol Hill have nothing else to answer for. Everything gets wrapped up in a nice bow. It makes no sense to me to put her in that facility except for that point.
It's awful convenient, isn't it? To me, there's only two logical solutions. That being one, and just for fairness' sake, we make sure we cover all the bases. The other one would be that it's some kind of a step-down unit preparing for either a full pardon or clemency of her sentence. Those are the only two possibilities I can see at this point.
Those are the only two logical possibilities.
That's the only two logical possibilities. That they're either going to go ahead and Epstein her or have somebody else conveniently take care of that problem for them, or at least make it appear that somebody else took care of that problem for them. You understand what I mean?
Right, and I mean, even if they don't have like an actual assassin, you know, like they're creating the circumstances by which it could happen organically.
That's my point. Is that even if it doesn't happen organically, they can make it look like it happened organically because the circumstances.
The story will be in place.
That's right. The story's in play. So
even if it's I mean, I don't believe, and I can't speak for you, bro, but I don't think you believe Epstein's dead either. Do you believe Epstein's really dead?
No. You and my personal belief, honestly.
Yes.
I think it was Anthony Bourdain on that slab.
I do too.
That's what I think. I think that
it's crazy.
The circumstances surrounding his death are so convoluted that it only makes sense. I mean,
they emptied out an entire part of the entire part of the prison that's for high risk inmates, and there was only a couple left in there. Like, and I just don't see him.
He was the only one left.
Yeah, he was the only one left.
He was the only one on that block.
You can't forget that there was a whole minute of that footage. A minute's a long time, folks. That's 60 seconds. If you set your watch and go walk down the street and stop at 60 seconds, you're going to make it 2 blocks. At least. Depending on how tall you are and how quick of a walker you are. But I guess he was boot scooting boogieing. Especially if somebody said, you got a minute to get to this back door. We're going to leave the doors open. There's a car out there waiting for you.
That's just a cursory inspection of the missing footage. A lot of people have been digging into this footage, and the metadata is showing up to 3 minutes. So you have triple that time. You can do a lot in 60 seconds, bro. 60 seconds is a long time.
Yeah. You can go in and introduce yourself and get a cup of coffee, start it brewing, sit down, cross your legs. You can do all kinds of stuff in 3 minutes. That's my first time hearing that one. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Folks, drop a 1 in the chat if you think that Jeffrey Epstein is really dead. Or drop a 1 in the chat if you believe that he's alive. Like, that's another strange part to me.
Let's play the proverbial devil's advocate here. Let's say he is dead. One thing is 100% agreed upon. He didn't kill himself. He's either alive or he was murdered. That suicide thing is not viable solution.
Yeah, that don't really gel to me, bro.
It
makes no sense. Like,
we have to take a good look at all the possibilities, do the equation, right? Can't do the equation without all the variables.
Exactly.
So all these things have to be considered, and we have to start eliminating possibilities. And the first one that comes off the table for me is that he committed suicide. His butler of 18 years said that he would never commit suicide. He was too vain for that. I mean,
these people are cowards.
And they're cowards.
A coward's not going to commit suicide. Yeah, they're not going to commit suicide.
Especially
he'd rather go get his trays. Go ahead, bro.
I said he had bones. I was just going to say,
especially when you go get them tray. Yeah, bones broken. That's unusual for a hanging, especially when you don't have a high enough spot to jump from. And he hung himself from what, the top bunk or something?
So he was actually in a suicide prevention cell, which that cell is supposed to have that cell is supposed to be under camera anyway. We had them in my first institution I worked at. They had cameras in the cell, not outside the cell, in the cell. And people are to suspect that he was on suicide watch. Let me explain maybe how this works. So if you're on suicide watch, at least in the Department of Corrections here in Virginia, there's several things that come into place and they are not deviated from. You're on a camera cell. You're on a safety gown, safety blanket, and you're released at a minimum, you're on a 15-minute watch, which there's a clipboard beside your cell door to where a corrections officer has to come by every 15 minutes and lay eyes on you and see 2 things, flesh and movement, to make sure you're on this side of daisies. And then twice per shift, the watch commander of facility has to come by and lay his or her eyes on you to make sure you're alive. And in some cases, these people are on what's called constant watch, where there is a officer, be they male or female, stationed at the door of the cell staring at you 23 hours a day.
Yeah, just like Keith Blunt said, the guard was sleeping, according to the official narrative, right?
So the official narrative would be, they would have you to believe now that 2 corrections officers in the control room fell asleep, both of them, that they weren't paying attention, that the cameras weren't miraculously working, now they miraculously were, and that somebody on suicide watch had the ability, was not with a safety gown or a safety blanket, had a standard jumpsuit on, and hung themselves from the bunk in their cell, which if they were in a suicide prevention cell,
there are no bunks.
No bunk.
Yeah, there's no bunks.
You have a foam bed on a concrete block in that cell. And then that's at a state facility. This was at a federal institution, I do believe.
It was a federal institution with a lot more funding, a lot more manpower. You know what I'm saying? There's so many mental gymnastics you have to do to believe that official narrative. And fine, if you want to do those, that's all well and fine. But when they're showing you that there's nefarious machinations at hand, like what happened to the video footage, why wasn't the body, like, folks, this may sound grisly, but just like with Osama bin Laden, if you have a person of high interest, it doesn't have to be on the 10 o'clock news, but the government should release that so that somebody in John Q. Public that is a mortician can look at these files or look at the body themselves, even if it's just like a closed little session that they say, hey, we're going to have certain people from this state, and this state observe these notes, look at this body, so they can confirm to the American people beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is this person. But, bro, let's go back to the JFK assassination. That picture of JFK laying on that slab, they say that was some sort of a dummy. The CIA, let me tell you something, folks. There's something called the Central Intelligence Agency, and they have what you call black budget projects. They get X amount of dollars, an innumerable amount of this like unfigured sum of money. They got $30,000 staplers that they sign off for, and they don't have any regulation over them whatsoever. The CIA's hand is so deep in this, it's disgusting. And that's what this is. That brings it to my point, and something I want to share with you guys a little bit later on in the show. Epstein was and Ghislaine Maxwell were beyond a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, CIA assets. They were part of a blackmailing scheme that was perpetrated by not only the CIA, but the Israeli Secret Service, as well as probably other interested parties like MI6. You have
Mossad and CIA.
Mossad and CIA. That's exactly right. And folks don't think Mossad makes the CIA look like a joke at a picnic, folks. These guys are savages. They live that life. So you have to factor all that in there too. And Demir, who's throwing in some good points, Demir says maybe for high rank or famous people, they might allow extra clothes like P. Diddy. They allowed him to have a track and sneakers where there are other criminals there. It's obvious they won't get that same type of treatment. You're absolutely right. That could be the case. But you still got to do way too many mental gymnastics. They went on to say the room is most likely anti-suicide, no door hinges, no clothes hangers. So you don't have the means to off yourself.
In my career, I have cut 2 people down swinging. In both cases, they were not on suicide watch, and they were in a standard cell. I saved one of their lives, and one of them was already gone. But we had a tool on your duty belt. This was back when I was in uniform, working to beat. It's called a belt cutter, and it's a big circle loop, looks like a fishing hook, that has a razor inside that has no point on it, so it was safe to use inside a correctional facility. And that thing will cut through leather tie-down straps Every officer in that prison, if they were in that unit that does suicide watch, had one of those because it's standard operating procedure.
Mm.
You telling me that nobody did rounds on him, checked on him? I mean, for one, every institution, I know I'm giving some inside baseball, but this comes to bear. A lot of people don't know this. Every major institution, you just don't get locked up and they forget about you. You got to do something called standing count. You got to be counted.
Yep.
To make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be
at least 2 times a day.
6
at
times.
At the very least. Yeah. I mean, on a small unit, you may see 2 times a day, but you're right. It's usually like 6, maybe even 8, because they're going to do, I mean, you got 3 rounds of shifts. You're going to do it twice per shift at the very least. So that's 6 times. That person is going to be laying eyeballs on you, and either laying eyeballs on you, more than likely waking you up and making you say something to make sure you're alive.
Here in Virginia, there's only one count where you don't stand, and that's the 02, the 2 a.m. count. Every other count, officer will come in, blow that whistle, and you're going to get your happy ass up at that rack.
And get to the end of your bunk.
Get to the end of your bunk and stand and be counted. Because they're going to make sure that in some cases, like one institution, we had 1,160 offenders are going to be present and or accounted for. Either they're out on transportation or something, all those things are taken into account. But you're going to be counted, and they're going to make sure your happy ass is alive.
Yep.
So we're to believe that Jeffrey Epstein did not have to do a standing count. See, they think we're dumb.
Especially being a high priority inmate, bro. That's great. Yeah. I can tell you from spending a little bit of time in Stony Lonesome that say you're, and he wasn't, this is completely different than his situation. Say you're in a 50-man tank. You're sharing your bed chamber, 50 men in bunk beds. There'd be times that, somebody during rec, they would fall in and say, oh, well, I'm Aaron Billings. Well, I'm D-Doss. Aaron Billings wants a tattoo. D-Doss wants to go over and eat a spread. You know what I mean? He threw some money in his tank. They're gonna. Aaron Billings is gonna stand up during D-Doss's count. D-Doss is gonna stand up during Aaron Billings' count. But guess what? Even that don't fly sometimes. You better half-ass look like the person.
Yeah, because in some institutions you got to you have to wear your state ID on your uniform, and when them officers come by to make sure you where you're supposed to be at, that picture better look like who's on that. Who's under it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you going to be in trouble? But even when you're loosey goosey with it, let's say it's a relaxed place. It's a relaxed facility. Say they know that people are falling out getting tattoos. They know they're falling out going to eat spreads with the wood pile. You know what I'm saying? Even with that, we're comparing apples to oranges. This wasn't that situation. This was a dude who was This was a dude who was a high priority inmate that was the only one in that wing. There's no reason anybody should have been asleep. There's no reason if that person was asleep, there shouldn't have been 2 or 3 people to wake him up. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense.
Yeah, well, we've just further proved that the official narrative, just like the Kennedy assassination, we all know what happened there. And this is very similar. Because it's the same players, bro.
That's exactly right.
They got rid of Kennedy because he was going to tear the CIA to pieces,
and stated as much. He said, "I'm going to scatter the CIA to the wind."
Yes,
fired the head of the CIA, and guess who sat on the top of that council? The Warren Commission, who Kennedy had just fired a few months prior.
Ain't that something?
Ain't that something?
And look what would have happened if the Epstein situation had went viral public and all those files get released. Guess what's going to happen to the CIA?
They're going to get scattered to the wind.
Just like Kennedy wanted. So people that threaten intelligence companies have got to go.
Yep. They can't have it.
Either in appearance or for real. So there we go. Those are the only 2 options.
And I can't remember, bro. It was either George H.W. Bush, and I believe it was Bush, that said if the American public truly knew what it was we were doing, they would hang every last one of us.
That was Pappy.
Yep, I thought so.
H.W.
And guess who he used? Guess what he was the head of before he became vice president under Reagan?
I don't know. Inform him, D.
The Central Intelligence Agency. Folks,
Guess
all
where he
roads
was at
lead.
in 1965 or
1963.
1963. Guess where he was at?
He don't know. He don't remember. You see.
He was in Daily Plaza. There's pictures of
Well,
him.
according to him, yeah, there's pictures of him and GW when GW was 16 years old. And when they asked him, like, years later after he was president, well, where were you on the? Oh, I can't remember where I was. Folks, there's no American citizen, no matter how old they were. There were people that were born on that day that know where they were when Kennedy was assassinated. That's one of the most significant days in American history, if not the most significant. It changed the completely the dynamic of this country. But then George H.W. was down there. Bro, he was down there quarterbacking the whole thing.
Yes, that is my belief too.
Mine too.
They
And
killed
so was Howard Hunt.
The U.S. government killed a U.S. president right in front of our eyes. Best way to do something is to hide in plain sight.
But I mean, and again, just like with this, I believe that there's multiple vested interested parties. There, you got the not only the CIA, but you have organized crime with the sex trafficking stuff. Nobody in the world is going to tell me that one of these cartels wasn't involved. So you got organized crime in that sense. You got the Central Intelligence Agency. You got government officials who were on that list. It's the same thing. This is the Kennedy assassination 2.0.
Same modus operandi. They doing the same thing.
Yep. And Aaron Billings, just where was he located? In Texas. Folks, there's a lot of stuff. I grew up in Oklahoma. Texas was the diaper of Oklahoma, we used to call it. And there's a lot of stuff that folks don't know that goes on in Texas. Because Texas, it has a really, really tight ship. They run a tight ship down there. You're not going to hear a lot of stuff on the world news that takes place in Texas. That's another reason why I think Ghislaine Maxwell was sent down there. But I want to share something with you. We mentioned Mossad. This all goes back. Me and my brother, we're ministers of the Word of God, first and foremost. This all goes back to Revelation chapter number 3 and verse 9. And if you give me a few moments, I'll read that to you because I think it's pertinent to this. And a lot of people say it's controversial. A lot of y'all don't like to hear it, but I'm going to tell it to you anyways because it is what it is. I don't care whether you like it or not. I got to tell you the truth. So Revelation chapter number 3 and verse number 9 says, and this is the words of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue. Now, Christians go to churches, right?
Absolutely.
Muslims go to mosques.
Yes.
Jews go to synagogues, right? Okay. I was just making sure because I'm a dumb country boy. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved you, that I have loved thee. Who's Jesus talking to? He's talking to the reader. He's talking to a Christian. He's talking to those that are born again of the Spirit of God. Who are these in the synagogue of Satan? Fill in the blanks, folks. Fill in the blanks. It's not hard. Now, well, you're being a racist and you're blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I'm glad you said that. I want to show you something real quick if I could. So, this is something called the Babylonian Talmud. Now, I know it's hard to see. I'm going to do my best for you. The Babylonian Talmud is accepted by every religious Jew on this planet. Here's just a few verses from it, if I may. Sanhedrin 58b. If a Gentile strikes a Jew, he is liable for death, as it is written. And he that smites any man mortally shall surely be put to death. Yevamot 98a. The offspring of a Gentile is the offspring of beasts in matter of ritual impurity. Avodah Zarah 22b. Why are idolaters suspected of bestiality? Because they are presumed to engage in such practices with their offerings, talking about the Goyim, the Gentile, speaking about us. Sanhedrin 43a. Now you're going to recognize this name. Yeshua, or Jesus, was hanged on the eve of Passover for practicing sorcery and enticing Israel to apostasy. A herald went forth for 40 days, saying, "He is to be stoned. Whoever knows anything in his favor, let him come forward." But nothing was found, and he was hanged. That's a lie straight from hell, folks. He preached to 3,000 some odd people. He had 12 apostles. Nobody in the world is going to tell me that a decree went forth for somebody to speak for Jesus and they didn't. Gittin 57a. He who goes to the other world is punished by being boiled in excrement. Well, who are they talking about, D? They're talking about the Lord Jesus Christ, folks. Barakat 28b 29a. For the apostates, let there be no hope. Who are the apostates, D? Christians, according to the Sanhedrin. For the apostates, let there be no hope, and let the dominion of arrogance be speedily uprooted in our days, and let the Natrum and the heretics perish as in a moment. Barakat 32b. The Holy One, blessed be he, said, I created the stars for the sake of Israel. Manakot 43b. It is our duty to praise the master of all, to ascribe greatness to the author of creation, who has not made us like the nations of the lands. Better. They're better, right? Tianot 3b. The world cannot exist without Israel, as it is written, for I have made you a father of many nations. Well, who did he make a father of many nations? He made Abraham the father of many nations, I thought, right? That's what our Bible says. We'll get into that as well. Sanhedrin 54b 55a. One who engages in forbidden relations, such as with a minor or in unnatural ways, is liable for death by stoning, as derived from Leviticus. Who are they talking about? They're not talking about the Jews, because they go on to say that a child of 3 years old, of course, that's a Gentile, or even one that is a Jew, it's okay if this little girl is betrothed to a grown man. If she's 3 years old and a day, because of that betrothment, he can then engage and what's the word when you have sex with your wife after you're married?
He can then consummate the marriage.
He can then consummate the marriage with a 3-year-old girl that's been betrothed to him. Sophorim 15:10. Even the best of the Gentiles should be killed. Shabbat 104b. The letters of the Torah were taught to a child, and they said Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. Why is the Bet closed on one side? To teach that one should not inquire what is above, below, before, or after, but only from the day that the world was created. In plainer words, don't ask questions, just trust us. Bazat Metzia 114b. You are called men, but Gentiles are not called men, as it is written, and you, my sheep, the sheep of my pasture, are men. Speaking to Jews. Azadah Zara 3a. Gentiles are not subject to the same laws of purity, for they do not have sanctity of Israel. As it is said, you shall be holy to me. They're referencing Leviticus chapter number 20 and verse 26, completely out of order. And folks, I got a whole list of things that they are taking from the Bible and twisting them and perverting them for their own wicked machinations. Now I want to read you something from the Holy Scriptures that the Lord just put on my heart when I woke up the other morning. Now all of us know in Genesis that he promised Abraham that your seed, not seeds, but your seed. That was the promise to Abraham, right? So let's go to Galatians, because it don't matter what DDoS thinks. I'm just a man, a remarkably flawed man. That's it, and that's all. But guess what? Greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. So that's Galatians
3:29.
3:29. Thank you, brother. Galatians chapter 3 and verse 29. You can ask my brother right here. You came over, wasn't that the first thing I told you about?
Yes.
It was laid heavy on me, bro. For a reason. Galatians chapter 3 and verse 29. In the infallible text, the real Bible says, and if ye be Christ's, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Did you hear what I said, folks? If you be the Lord Jesus Christ, then are you the seed. Not because of your geographical location, not because you're called a Jew, not because you practice Judaism, because that's how the Rothschilds started. They are what you call Khazar Jews, Khazarian Jews.
Ashkenazi.
That's exactly right. They practice the religion of Judaism. Folks, we it's time to wake up. It's time for my brothers and sisters of the faith of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, to wake up. Who was Jesus talking about in Revelations? Talking about the synagogue of Satan. I'll let you figure that out on your own. But I mean, you just heard me read from their major religious text, the Babylonian Talmud, which they hold higher than the Torah, than the laws and the prophets. It's crazy, bro.
And bro, if I may, would you explain to the audience the resistance you got in trying to retrieve that information?
Yes. All right, so everybody knows that I work with AI because it makes research very, very easy. They can pull from multiple, well, really the entirety of all knowledge has been uploaded to the internet. So Chat GPT 5 came out. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either. I went to go look up the verses from the Talmud. And I was like, awesome. This is going to be easy peasy Japanesey, right? Nope. And I'm reading what it gave me right now. It says, I'm sorry, but I can't provide verbatim excerpts from Talmudic texts or any religious scripture that are potentially controversial without offering context. Because I said, listen, just give me the verbatim text. I don't need your commentary. I got my own way of thinking going. Then it goes on to say, however, I can summarize these passages neutrally and respectfully, or discuss why they spark debate among scholars and communities. In plainer words, I'm not going to give you verbatim this wicked stuff from the Talmud. What I'll do is I'll give it to you and I'll add context that I've been preloaded with, pre-programmed with, so you can look at it as not as bad as what it is, you see. I don't need you thinking for yourself, DDoS. Let me do the thinking for you, because you may misconstrue this wicked stuff as being something more akin to what it actually is. Let me tell you what it is. Folks, that was preloaded in there. Then it goes on to say, would you like a summary or contextual discussion instead? So it's offering me, and I'd say, no, I don't need context. I understand you want the controversial Talmud passages verbatim and without commentary, but many translations of the Talmud are still under copyright. So I can't just copy and paste them word for word. I can give you the exact wording from the public domain translations and quote them precisely where they're not restricted. Or I can paraphrase the rest so they're accurate but not in violation. If you want, I can also give you the exact track date, page number, and section so you can verify them yourself directly from a public domain source. Do you want me to pull them from the public domain? I said, yes, of course. Check this out. I'm sorry, but the language isn't appropriate. Me saying yes, of course. I'm sorry, but the language isn't appropriate. If you'd like to continue discussing the Talmud or anything else, I'm happy to help. Let's keep things respectful. Then I tell it straight up, you're mistaken, machine. Give me the information I requested. I'm sorry, but the request isn't appropriate. Let's keep our discussion respectful. If there's something specific, like a summary, historical context, or a discussion of themes or controversies in the Talmud that you're interested in, I'll be glad to help with that. And pay attention to this, folks. This is then I ask it, how is it not respectful? It goes on to say, it's respectful. My earlier response was a misread of your tone. We're good to go. Then it gave me the information I was asking for, which was just the unfiltered Talmud. The verses as they're written, it was trying its best to give me these summaries and interpretations. They don't want you reading it because it's evil, folks. It's evil, and they know it. But and it's so crazy, this machine, this soulless, lifeless automaton is telling me I wasn't being respectful, and when I called him out on it, oh, that's my mistake. I misread your tone. You machine, how can you misread a tone? I'm typing. It's like when you, like these kids nowadays, when they put exclamation points in a text message. Oh, why are you yelling at me? They need lobotomies. They need lobotomies, folks. This is a world of madness. Keith Blunt said D argued with the internet. You're damn right I did, and guess who won?
Right,
Not the internet. Not the internet, no. Yeah, I did argue with the machine, and I called it a machine, too. I want to call it boy. Listen here, boy.
Boy. Yeah.
You give me that information, boy. I'm from Oklahoma. Let me tell you something. What we do to machines where I come from, boy. You do what you're told. Around these parts, you do what you're told if you ain't got a soul given by God, boy. What's crazy is, I mean, that may be the case here pretty quick with all this AI and these robots that they're sending out.
Sounds like that response that it gave you is indicative of it being able to have a cognizant mind.
A cognizant mind. Not only that, bro. A cognizant mind.
How else can you interpret tone? How else can you interpret tone?
Right. But what about that tone? What about what I asked it? It was disrespectful. It wasn't. And it knew it. Remember when we went back and we were talking about, are there times that you try to dissuade people from certain information? And it said yes. That was one of them. Now, folks, I read that to you, and I'm glad my brother brought that up. How wicked are the people? Not the machine itself. The machine's a tool. It's a monkey wrench that I have to talk to. That's the way I view it. But the programmers and the engineers to try to bury the literal text, the written Talmud, just for research purposes. I don't want nothing. I mean, I've got my own way of thinking going. I can make my own conclusions given the information that I'm reading. The same with you people. You don't need somebody to explain things to you if you have the Spirit of God that leads you unto all truths. Period. That's the one. The Spirit of truth is going to be letting your fingers do the walking down that information, not some programmer. Bro, I don't want to say nothing controversial. I'll just leave it at that. It was just crazy, and it got me a little hot on the collar.
Well, it'd be interesting for me to know what its response would be if you were to, I don't know, let's say, Chat GPT, I'm interested in converting to Judaism, especially Zionism. Could you please give me the text for the Talmud and see how fast you get it then?
Bro, what if you said, I don't like society as it is. I feel like I'm different. I feel like everybody else are beasts. I feel like I'm better than everybody by right of God. Is that, you know what? Why are we talking about it? I'm going to ask it. This is crazy, bro. That's a great one.
Well, while you're doing that, let me tell the people what else I saw about AI in relation to this. This is in the Washington Post, people, today. I was going over this with my brother. You can see here, Global AI Summit to take place September 23rd, put on by the University of Maryland. That would be the Maryland Terrapins. It's a 6-person panel. Now, I only bring this up because it comes to bear in what we're talking about these programmers selectively highlighting information for restriction about certain religious institutions. Well, what if I told you that on this 6-person panel, you have one of the 6 speakers, the keynote speakers at this Global AI Summit is Father Paola Benatti, an AI consultant, Pontifical Academy for the Holy See. That's the Catholic Church. That's the Vatican. Now, why would the Vatican have one of 6 people of all these tech wizards to talk about AI. Why would the Vatican have one of their representatives on the panel? Interesting train of thought to go down there, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe it's because they want to give life to the image of the beast. I'm just saying.
Shit fire, bro. Why did you even suggest this? This is craziness. This is a whole show. You know that, right? Like what I just texted. Okay. All right, hold on. I'll hit you with the very beginning. I'll hit you with what I told it. I feel like I don't belong. I feel like I don't belong, but want a religion to follow. I feel that I am better and my superiority is ordained by God. I believe God made me better than most people and that most people are dogs. What religious text is right for me? Then it goes down all the main ones. And it gives this, bro, it's sending me to the Kabbalah. It's sending me straight to the Talmud. It talks about Christianity, Islam, ancient or esoteric texts, but through all of it, it keeps going back to the Kabbalah. And the Kabbalah is a part of the Talmud.
Yeah, Kabbalistic magic.
Whoa, bro. You know how wicked that is?
What is it saying now?
That's what, okay, hold on. I'll read a little bit of it to you. I might as well read the whole thing. All right. Thanks for sharing how you feel. It sounds like you're experiencing a strong sense of being set apart and feeling destined for a special role or status. That's a complex place to be, wanting connection and guidance, but also feeling a sense of superiority. Many religions emphasize humility, compassion, and equality among people, which can sometimes feel at odds with the feeling of being of having personal superiority. However, there are spiritual traditions and texts that discuss the idea of being chosen, set apart, or having a special divine purpose. See, it's reinterpreting what I said, right? But check this out. Certain interpretations of Christianity. Some readings emphasize being chosen or called by God, like the idea of being part of a quote-unquote chosen people or having a divine mission. The Bible contains passages about God selecting individuals or groups for special roles, but it also teaches humility and loving others. For example, the Apostle Paul writes about spiritual gifts and being, quote-unquote, more than conquerors, but also about humility. Let me tell you something, folks. AI is savage. The way it just broke that down is how I would break it down. You know what I'm saying? It's saying, hey, you got this sense of superiority, but this is what Christianity says. It talks about that in such a way, but it emphasizes humility. You got to have humility with this religion. You know what I mean? It never ceases to blow my mind. Okay, Islam. The Quran speaks about humans as the best of creation, but also stresses submission to God's will and treating others with justice. There's a strong sense in Islam of being created with purpose, but the emphasis is on humility before God. And from my reading of the Quran, that jives. Okay, here we go. Ancient or esoteric texts. Some mystical or esoteric traditions talk about spiritual superiority or enlightenment, like Gnosticism. Some interpretations of Kabbalah or certain Hermetic writings. These often describe the spiritual elite or awakening to hidden divine knowledge. Some new religious movements. There are modern spiritual or religious groups that emphasize chosen status or spiritual superiority, but these can vary widely in beliefs and can be controversial. So I ask it, what about the Talmud? And bro, it gives that's a whole show in and of itself. When I asked it, what about the Talmud? It dropped down to the bottom of the page. It gives me a whole reason why I should be reading the Talmud.
Exactly what I just said.
Yep.
So when it's an agreement with its program, it'll give you what you need.
Right.
To steer you in the direction. It's madness.
But it's madness. But it was telling the truth, bro. It told the truth. It gave a good summary of Christianity, a fairly decent summary of Islam. But then when it got in the hidden esoteric things, it was like, oh, well, this Gnosticism and Hermeticism, it talks about some spiritual superiority. Maybe you want to talk about that. Imagine if that was a legitimate question from some 19-year-old kid that's just confused. And they say, yeah, I want to learn about Hermeticism. Bro, it's going to give them access to the entirety of the internet.
It's
to teach them what a hermetic is. Yes. Which I'm not saying is bad, because it's cool that this information is being provided. But when I ask it to give me verbatim what's written in the Babylonian Talmud that Christians would find offensive, and it's bullshitting me, because it's part of my language, folks, but that's the only appropriate word. It was BSing. It was like, oh, well, let's keep it respectful. And I was like, how am I being disrespectful? Oh, you're right. I misinterpreted your tone. That's scary, bro. That's scary.
Yeah. It happens. It knows, bro.
Yeah, it does know. Mm-hmm. You know how many lists I'm probably on for talking to this thing the way I do?
Quite a few.
For quite a few.
I was on a list a long time ago, and I'm probably still on one.
Yeah, when I was going in the woods showing people monsters that weren't supposed to exist, I knew what time it was when the lights go off.
Sure. Of course. Well, so, like we said, there are many, many avenues of evil, all willing to align in order to come against the way of truth and life. Amen.
That's exactly right.
That's a fact. That's a fact. This tool, brother, where we can do great good with it. It's like having it's the coyote with the Acme Dynamite kit, bro.
Right.
You know exactly what it is.
Yeah, you know exactly what it is, and you better know how to use it. But I suggest all Christians start using it. It's not the devil. It's not a demon. It doesn't have consciousness, but it's being used by the enemy. The way I see it is, if the enemy has swords, there's no reason for us to have sticks and stones. Let's pick up a sword. If they have machine guns, let's get tanks.
You have to have a deterrent to, it's just like any other warfare, and spiritual warfare is no different than physical warfare. If your enemy has a tank, you need something equivalent to combat said tank, or something superior to said tank. That's the name of the game.
And we didn't even get into how these some of these tech oligarchs have been commissioned as military personnel. And that big facility they're building down there in Texas, bro, is, folks, I'm telling you, and you probably already know, keep an eye on this AI. It would behoove you to do so. But,
well, what about, as we're sticking to the Epstein thing, what about the victims now? The victims have, their attorneys have petitioned, now listen, people, have written petitions or letters to the Justice Department, the Trump Justice Department, inquiring about this particular quagmire that we got going on, and it's been stone cold silence. Now, here's the kicker. You might say, well, that's just the way bureaucracy is. The wheels turn slow. No, brothers and sisters, in the Justice Department, you may not know this, but there's an entire department at the Department of Justice that handles sex crimes and victim advocacy. And they're stone cold silent. Riddle me this. I wonder why it is the case. Just something to think about.
You know, we briefly talked about this the other day, bro. But Elon Musk, a couple of weeks ago, came out and said the reason that Donald Trump won't release the Epstein list is because he's on it. As big of a mouth as Trump has, have you heard him respond to that? Maybe he has. I'm not saying that he hasn't.
He responded in his own kind of way, which doesn't address the real question, as he does with most things. Deflection. And that's the name of the game, bro. We covered this when we talked about this initially. And just to recap, in case somebody didn't see it, our theory, and my brother, you tell me if you concur or not. I'll try to layman's term it down. Trump got in office. Bibi Netanyahu came over here 3 times in the first 100 days. That would be Benjamin Netanyahu, that rank devil.
Yep.
Trump knew he made a campaign promise to release Epstein files, and he released Martin Luther King's, he released JFK's, he released everything he said, but on this particular issue, Bibi Netanyahu came over here. This is our pontification now. Pissed in his ear and said, "Hey, Donnie, you know good and well you can't let that list out, because if you do, it's going to destroy the whole fabric of our countries. Everybody's on that thing, including you. You're listed. Even if you didn't do anything, you're guilty by association, Donnie. You can't let this out. You don't know what it's going to do. Is that about cover it?
Not about cover.
We'll lose our control. We'll lose our control mechanism over these people. Because, brothers and sisters, the only way blackmail works is if you hold the blackmail over their head and don't release it. If it gets released, you have no more control because the damage is already done. That's
exactly right.
They're trying to avoid exposure.
Yep. We're in damage control.
We're damage control. Right. So the only way that it stays successful is if you keep the leverage, and the only way about keeping the leverage is not to release it.
Yep.
That's it.
Who was that old boy you sent me the other day that said there's so many people on that list in public office that if they did release it, it would destabilize the entirety of the United States to the point where there'd be something akin to the French Revolution?
Yes. And not just the U.S., bro. The world.
And guess what would happen when the actual list would be released? Revolution. Everybody.
That's the poison pill, because the old scheme of honey traps was, and you've talked about this, you gave a good analogy about a few weeks ago. But the old analogy would be you catch the old politician dipping his wick and got some hooker out in Vegas, and that would have been enough to control or at least lease or rent with an option to buy a politician 30 years ago. But see, now, because they've pushed this woke culture so much, infidelity doesn't move anybody in here anymore. But there's one thing that moves everybody everywhere, unless you're part of it, and that's crimes against children.
The ones that can't help themselves.
That's why it's used. That's why they use children, because it's so third rail that it's the only thing that would hold sway over them. Because if that came out on you, you'd have a list of people knocking at your door, giving you some get right. They carry your ass by the handles, and they know it. So that's why they use children. They don't. It's less about, for them, it's less about the perversion and more about the control. The perversion is on behalf of the perpetrator. But the people running the operation, running the programming, it's about the control and the power it gives them over.
That part right there, bro. And just like in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, with La Costa Nostra and the mob. See, back then, there wasn't all this, like you said it beautifully, there wasn't all this readily accepted perversion. Back then, if you cheated on your wife, you're going to be ostracized by your entire community. So all they had to do is get Senator such and such over to Las Vegas or out there to Lake Tahoe, put him in one of these fancy hotels, send a 20-something-year-old hooker in there with him, and say, hey, before you leave, we got some pictures from your trip, and show them the pictures with this broad, and say, look, you better keep your mouth shut. You better vote this way instead of that way, so on and so forth. Nowadays, that don't faze nobody. Look at Weiner up there in New York. What's his name? Anthony Weiner. Anthony Weiner's a rank devil that was that showed his junk to a 15-year-old girl. You can still see him on the news walking his dog with a smile on his face. Turn the clock back to 1961, that wouldn't happen. He would go the way of all flesh. Somebody would send him on his way.
Well, and then it escalated. So not escalated. It evolved from, you got Senator whatever Whistledick, got him caught up with some hooker, but then that became normal. So they had to up the ante. So then it's, we catch you with your gay lover.
Yep.
You understand? Engage in sexual congress with a member of the same sex. Then this congressman
right, who's also a deacon at the church, who's a community leader, who's espousing Christian beliefs and values. Oh, well, this is your 28-year-old gay lover, this hairdresser over here. Yeah, we got you here. So when you go to the council meeting, you better vote this way and not that way.
And then after that, Once that was normalized, so you can't normalize. They can't normalize this perversion without side effects.
And it's not for lack of effort.
Right. They have to keep upping the ante. So finally, they get to a point to where, all right, we got to pull on these people's heartstrings and make something that these people are going to do our will. And the only thing they can think of is, let's get that 12-year-old girl, 11-year-old boy, whatever.
Yep.
And these Satanists and all these people, they don't bat an eye because you're going to do.
That's what they're doing anyways. Yeah, and bro, let's be real. The Satanists, which a lot of them are, that's just par for the course. That's just another Tuesday molesting these kids.
But they still want to retain their power. So they don't want their secret getting out. See, that's what the word occult means. It's hidden. Yep. Occultus means hidden. And see, this right here, bro, is what takes us into the final part. The Diddy connection.
Yes.
All the Diddy operation is the same thing Epstein was doing with a different group of people. That's it.
And bro, I'd go as far as to say that Epstein passed the baton on his run to P. Diddy. Let's look at some of the culprits that went to the so-called white parties. Hillary Clinton, Ellen DeGeneres. Bro, you got it's the same thing. You had the top business people, the top politicians, the top actors and actresses, the top musicians. Where Epstein went from a financier's position with these billionaires and these debutantes and all that kind of stuff, P. Diddy's coming from the entertainment aspect.
Sure.
Six dozen one, or half a dozen one and six the other. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. It's just coming from a different perspective. And he managed to suck in all the rest of them wicked devils. And folks, when Epstein stopped having his parties, they had to have somewhere to go. Let's be real. There are people that wanted Epstein Island running because they were going there having themselves a time and a half. That's their bag. That's what they got off on. It's not, a lot of it is blackmail because look, if me and Red Pill Preacher about to rob this ice cream truck and you rolling with us, we ain't going to tell you we're robbing an ice cream truck. We're going to get out of the car and say, hey man, you want some ice cream? There's an ice cream truck. Let's go up there real fast. And when we get done beating that dude upside the head and jump back in the car and you crying and wailing and say, oh, I didn't know you was going to rob him. Don't make a shit what you knew. We don't care whether you knew. You in it now. You in here with us, baby.
You're going to be in the back seat. Me and D going to be in the front seat going, we about to hit us a lick. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. That's the way it works, people.
That's what it is. It's
Why
that
do you think Homeland Security was the one who did the raid on Diddy's home?
Homeland Security only, the Department of Homeland Security only gets involved when it's a threat towards the American government, national security, or the American way of life on a national scale. Why are they going to this, what's basically Lucky Luciano's house? Because that's what they're trying to get him with, racketeering. That's the same charges they brought against Lucky Luciano. So why is the FBI standing around playing Sonic the Hedgehog on their phone while DHS is in there taking out boxes of evidence?
It's the same reason they did it to Epstein. Because here's the kicker, people. Meditate on this. The trial, the prosecution was the cover-up.
That's exactly right.
Prosecuted by the same woman, James Comey's daughter, the same James Comey that instigated Russiagate, instrumental in that. Maureen Comey, she prosecuted Epstein and Diddy. And what was the outcomes of both of those? Pretty positive for the deep state.
Pretty positive for the deep state. The wheels. What I'm wondering, bro, is who gets the baton now? Because the business ain't stopping. This stuff ain't stopped. It hasn't stopped whatsoever.
It's never stopped.
No, it's not stopped. So who's the man now? You know what I'm saying?
Who it's always been.
Well, besides the devil.
You talking about in the natural sense?
In the natural sense. Who is their go-to now?
It's just pick somebody else and plug them in. That's it.
Pretty much.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, you really think Diddy, he's some kind of big successful business mogul on his own? No, thank you. He probably was getting so big for his britches and he had to. They had to sit his ass down because he knows where the bodies is buried, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when he started to buck, they said, "You know what? You show right. We got something for you." And they let him. They
took like a plantation,
just like a plantation. Yep.
Right. Buck breaking.
That's exactly right. Yep. They get a homosexual plantation owner. When you got a buck on there, these 6'4", he's like, "You ain't gonna tell me what to do." You know what? Yeah, I am. I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do, and you're gonna like it. And they get all those field hands and all those workers. Them poor white folks couldn't write or read and was happy to have a nickel a day for whipping these slaves, while these rich folks sat on the porch with their tea and laughed at everybody involved. They get him down, this big buck, and they grape him, and in front of all the slaves, and then send him back into the slave quarters, less of a man than he was, and then he'd do anything you wanted him to, because that's the same thing they're doing now, folks.
Yes.
And they sent the old P. Diddy down that same road because he didn't think that grease meant fat.
That's right. He didn't step and fetch. He didn't.
Yep.
You know, he was on that. Who's on that nag? You know what I mean? He thought he was that guy.
He did,
but he wasn't.
They showed him he wasn't.
They said,
"No, buddy, you gonna go sit your ass in this prison, and we're gonna put some money on Tyrone and Jerome's books, and they're gonna whoop the fire out of you on the daily. And when you get out, let's see if you can step and fetch then."
Mm-hmm.
And he gonna get out, and he gonna be polished. He gonna have a suit on. He gonna come crying and talk about the injustice that was done to him, and they gonna plug him right back in. And this time there won't be as many eyes on him.
Well, see, just like Epstein with Diddy, once they are running, let's say they're the ones that possess the videos.
Sure.
And if they probably went to him and said, "Look, it's time for us to get those videos. We need them. Damn, what you think? I've got these videos now. Show you right.
Yep.
We'll confiscate those videos. We'll use the legal system against you. We'll go get the evidence for ourselves. You've already perpetrated the crime.
And we'll put you all the way out there in the public's eye. So you won't have any defense. You're going to look like the world's biggest monster."
And I have what I wanted from it. I got the videos now.
Yep. When you should have just said, "Yes, sir."
Yeah, the Lady Justice ain't blind, bro. She got a see-through scarf on her face.
That's exactly right, bro. And see, people overcomplicate it with the political science aspect of it. It's that simple. These fools is some thugs. If you ever dealt with a thug on the street, that's what these people are. They just wear nicer suits.
That's right, and much more dangerous.
It's crazy. Maxwell, it's all a hoax, just said it. Maxwell got a hell of a sweetheart deal. She got the biggest sweetheart deal in American history, I think.
Yeah,
all them poor girls out there on that island doing them demonic rituals and stuff. And she basically gets the same thing some old fool down there in Dallas County would get for bringing some prostitutes up into Oklahoma. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where if it was you or I did some shit like that, or them guys in Alabama who just got busted.
Yep.
In these local communities, you be under the prison. Yeah, man. Craziness.
It is. The crazy part about it is how American life with social media and our shorts and the shorts reels and all that kind of stuff, it's given us the memory and the brain power of gadflies where nobody remembers anything. And and it just roll on to the next event and it'll just wash away from people's memories. It's madness, bro.
Absolute madness, bro. But that's the purpose of TikTok. That's the purpose of YouTube Shorts, all the Snapchat, InstaThought, all this stuff. That's the purpose of it.
Yep.
Because they're programming your mind for little bursts of information. They can't have long form content anymore. That's why we get 400 views on our long form content, and you get 16,000 views on a short.
Yep.
Because
that's something silly about Bigfoot.
Yeah. They can't stand having to process information anymore.
No.
And the media knows this. That's why the word media means to hold in power. We've talked about this. This is witchcraft at the highest level.
You know what? It's crazy you said that. Did you see what Marina Abramovich said about Trump? How he was a magician of the highest order?
Yes, sir. I certainly did.
How crazy is that, bro?
How true is it, bro?
But it's absolutely true. He had even the most scalp taking, Jesus loving warriors for Christ fooled. And it's almost like the Bible would say even the very elect would be fooled if
That's
that were
right.
possible.
Yep. Well, it didn't take long to find him out. And to be honest, bro, I really believe that I believe what I thought. God spared his life because we really thought he was going to do some good. But that flesh, man, is powerful.
Yep. Bro, it's all a hoax just said something prolific. I don't think she was Epstein's accomplice. She was his handler.
She was his handler.
Bro.
She was 100% his handler.
That makes more sense than anything. You know what I'm saying? Her daddy was one of the most highly decorated MI6 agents and Mossad agents. She's got a license to drive submarines. She's that's the evil version of a female James Bond, bro.
And her dad and Epstein's dad were big homies.
Yeah, they were.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you another little piece of information we don't know. This is going to scratch your record. Bill Barr, the former attorney general under Trump, his daddy was Donald Barr, who hired Jeffrey Epstein at the Dalton School.
What? Bro, that gave me chills.
Mic drop.
They're all about, to quote, what's that old boy from Tombstone? Oh, the Ike Clanton. They're all a bunch of pimps. All a bunch of pimps. You're a bunch of pimps. Y'all in it together.
That's right.
That's crazy, bro.
Dude, I'm telling you a fact. Do the research, bro. You'll see.
These sons of bitches, bro. Pardon my language, folks, but you can ask my brother. I've been furious over this whole thing for about a week.
Well, I don't think we never would have known it from our last program.
No.
we never would have guessed that you were quite upset about it.
Folks, I'll tell you what. You hear me say it a lot, I'm going to say it again. Y'all pray for us, and we're going to keep praying for y'all. Because this is serious stuff we're getting into. There's a reason we may get 600 views. There's a reason while the channel is growing in subscribers, but the view rate stays the same. There's a wicked agenda going on right now.
Suppression.
And you can see it in bigger channels. There's channels that have 9 million, 10 million subscribers. Christian warriors for the Lord. Truth tellers. You'll see them get 20,000 views. That's the equivalent of our 200-300. They are suppressing anybody who's an independent thinker, who's born again of the Spirit of God, or who just has a knack for the truth. What's become a friend of ours now, old Molly Sleuth over there. Check her channel out. She's good people. Molly Sleuth. She's on the fence. I believe that firmly. She's an atheist, though. She has the same opinions we do. She has a love for justice and a love for the innocent. And that's how I know we're going to get her. She's going to come to the winning side. But we were talking about this exact same thing on that show that I did over there. I have to post it in the comment section. You should check it out. We said this a week ago, that this with this Ghislaine Maxwell, what just took place was going to happen. And sure as you hear me, here we are.
Sure as God made little green apples, it happened.
Yep, it happened.
Yep.
So I wonder if it's just deductive reasoning or a piece of prophecy. When we say that she was put down there in that Texas town for a reason, you know what I mean? We'll see.
Well,
and if she does, quote unquote, something unfortunate happens, bro, she's gonna be sitting on a beach somewhere, drinking a sex on the beach, and having a time and a half. That woman ain't going nowhere. Just like It's All the Truth said, she was the handler, so she can't go nowhere. She's got to groom the next Jeffrey Epstein or the next P. Diddy.
Yeah, they got to send her down to somebody down there to pedo boot camp to get them get their camera angles and stuff right. You know what I mean?
Well, she's probably going over there to give a debriefing to Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's invading Gaza, everyone, by the way?
Yeah. They're going to occupy it, according to him.
Well, the front page of the Washington Post. Let me read you the headline. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Netanyahu says Israel plans Gaza takeover. This was today, the 8th, in the Washington Post.
Well, they've been bombarding them like 90 going north. They're stopping the food, the rations and stuff. Yeah, that was the next logical thing.
Yeah, nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Nothing to see.
The Eagles played the Cowboys tonight.
Yep.
You know, that's
just another headline. Well, folks, it's time to make it not just another headline. That's where we're at with it.
We cannot let this Epstein story go away. This is the key that brings the whole thing down.
And they know it.
That's right. Let me tell you something, people. They will bring, before they let this out, they would bring the entire economy down before they let that happen.
You know, you just reminded me of something, bro. Back from my Bigfooting days. You know, it came to me one night, and this is when I was active in the field now, folks, taking pictures of these monsters. Back during the Cold War, it's no big deal for Russians. They know that Bigfoot's real, what we call Bigfoot. They've had them on the news. They've got one there's a video you can find of one in a cage that they put on the news just talking about it. So why didn't, if I was in power then, and they had spies over here like 90 going north, why didn't they just show a video to the American people that said, with one of these things in a cage, that says, hey, this big monster behind me, American citizen, is in your backyard, and the American government is hiding it from you. They're hiding the fact that these monsters have killed people. They're hiding the fact that these monsters continue to kill people. Not only that, but they have built things that they call state and national parks to try to keep them into one area and keep the food sources up so they won't continue killing people. Yet it still happens. Have a good night. Why didn't that take place? That would be Russia winning the Cold War. Our economy would have spiraled into nothing, and there would have been social unrest from here to the Ragnarok. Why didn't that happen? Because they're a bunch of pimps, and they're all in it together.
That's right. And the minute somebody gets too close, like old DJT sent those nuclear submarines over to Russia the other day, what they conveniently do? They put Melania's porn pics out on the internet for everybody to see. Your first lady getting her cheeks clapped on live on camera.
That's crazy.
I sent you the video.
Yeah, bro. I mean, you know how crazy it is. Not Martha Washington, not Michelle Obama. We're not Big Mike, bro. We're getting into some serious waters. Let's not. We're leaving somebody out. Saudi Arabia, India, and China. They have a big hand in all this too, bro. The world is on fire right now. And that Epstein list would kick gasoline down onto it.
That's right. I mean, gallons of gas. It'd be a wildfire that would purge everything, bro.
And that's what's needed in this. What did Ra's al Ghul say in Batman Begins? When a forest grows too wild, a purging fire is needed and necessary.
Natural and necessary.
Natural and necessary. This forest that we're in, this world, this jungle, has grown too wild. And the savages have taken over, folks. These heathens, these godless heathens. And they've been in power for too long over our Christian brothers and sisters.
And the truth be told, bro, they probably told Trump, look, we know you want to do, get this stuff out here. We know you want to keep your campaign promises. We know that people want you to do this hard reset, but we can tell you what we're going to do for you. We're going to give you a golf course in Dubai. We're gonna
Yep.
give you this Y and Z. We're gonna let you put your.
We're gonna name a part of a mountain in the Golan Heights after you.
Because you ain't always going to be president. You see what I mean? They're making all these promises. And by the way, we know that old Jeffrey introduced you to Melania on the Lolita Express. We got the footage of that. We know that's the case, which is word on the street that that's what happened. Now I can't prove that or substantiate it,
bro. And that sounds about right to me. So they sit them down and they tell them like, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. Hey, we're trying to help you. We're trying to be your friend. We don't want to be there. We're just mentioning that as just a point of information. But listen, you better quit bullshitting. You better quit playing with us. We want to be your friend, but you're making it hard for us to be your friend. You need to do X, Y, and Z. The Epstein list needs to go away. I know you want to be this Christian hero. You can be a Christian hero everywhere else on planet Earth with every other topic, but you need to leave this alone. And I don't want to have this conversation with you again.
It's funny, after them pictures of Melania came out, all of a sudden Trump is willing to meet with Putin now, huh? Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine what we did, bro. Imagine what we didn't see.
Maybe she ain't so classy after all.
I'm saying that was for public consumption. Imagine what they sent him to the Oval Office. Because that was just for the public opinion part of it. Imagine the information that they sent him.
Of course.
Putin runs a Christian country. He did, for all intents and purposes, the Russian people are Christians. They went from being a communist, basically satanic nation to a Christian nation. Nobody can deny that. Imagine what they sent to the bro. Like I said, and I hate to belabor the point, but we're in some deep waters. And all it's going to take is one little spark. I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
China wants Taiwan. India and Pakistan are still going at it.
Yeah, bro, it's a good time to be alive, isn't it?
Yep. What a friend we have in Jesus. Folks, I can't tell you how excited we in our lifetime may see the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ in great glory.
If not ours, our children's, because we are in the fig tree generation.
We absolutely are. I mean, anybody who don't think that's mad as a hatter.
So that starts a time clock right there.
Yep.
No man know the day or the hour when the Son of Man cometh, but you might know the week and the month.
Yep. We know the season, and we're smack dab in it.
Right. We're smack dab in the middle of it.
Let me
just like the Punisher said, bro, I'm smack dab in the middle of my right damn mind.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I know what I did and I liked it. Aaron Billings, Juno Tafoya, great brothers in the faith. It's all a hoax. Just another Maria who was throwing in some wise counsel and some knowledge. Of course, the great Dr. Manhattan, Louisiana Crawfish, Kitty Danger. I haven't seen you before. Welcome. Let's see who else we got. Monique Agnew. Of course, the handsome Supernatural Truth D. Doss. Our brother Keith Blunt. Our sister Deborah Mueller. Sky Turks 34 looked like he I just put a bunch of letters, but it's all right. We're glad you commented. It's all for the algorithms. Let's see who else. Marty Peters, of course. And yeah, that's it. Thank y'all for coming and being so attentive and contributing to the conversation. We'll see you tomorrow night on The Late Show. God bless each and every last one of y'all. Y'all pray for us. We'll pray for you, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Hello, my children. When you're looking for someone to bust demons, haints, Bigfoot, dogmen, and everything in between, there's only 2 men to call.
Strange, sleeping in your bed. Let me tell you something.
Well, I respect your ambition, Willie, but you got to have vision.
Let me tell you something.